So Brainiac's design is out in the wild, and we're going to talk about it. And of course, his design comes courtesy of the live stream from Dr. Lupo, who's a famous FPS and Fortnite streamer who did a collab with Rocksteady. Now, I'm not going to use the guy's footage because I feel like that's theft, and I don't have permission to actually post his footage on my channel. So we're just going to make do with whatever. Maybe we'll post some Justice League Heroes clips or whatever. I don't know. Injustice, doesn't matter. So, anyway, we're going to talk about Brainiac's design, and I actually talked to some Arkham OGs, and I have their reactions to share with all of you guys as well. So, stay tuned for that. But here's my thoughts on this first. Basically, the design for Brainiac is not what I was expecting for the Arkham universe. It does not have that seal of quality. It does not have that chef's kiss. It's just okay. It kind of looks like Brainiac is like this bioorganic, very sickly, terminally ill alien. And it's hard for me to believe that this character, based on looking at him here, that he was able to take over a lot of the multiverse. Spoilers, if you don't know this, Brainiac is responsible for taking over most of the multiverse. Like this Arkham Brainiac, not Injustice 2 Brainiac, who looks like that dude could probably take over the multiverse. This guy, who's probably hooked up to all kinds of life support machines, so he's responsible for taking over the multiverse. I just don't see it. Now, what I do appreciate is, I don't know who did this, but there's a fan who actually did a brilliant recoloring of Brainiac, and he looks pretty cool. So I'm going to show you guys the recoloring. Again, I don't know who's responsible for doing this, so I can't give you props, but I just want to show your work because it's really well done. And it's just a recoloring, but you can see a night and day difference. This is Rocksteady's sick-looking Voldemort slash pale Michael Jackson, except probably paler than the King of Pop, Brainiac. And here is a fan's recoloring, just a recoloring of the same character model, and just look at the difference. That's impressive. That to me looks like Brainiac. This, not so much. So I was talking with Arkham Videos, Slickmoth, and Salvage in DMs and discussing what they thought about Brainiac. And Arkham Videos had probably the most tame reaction. He's just kind of like, the design's meh. It's not good, it's not great, but I don't really have an opinion on it. Slickmoth, I think he said lull, and Salvage probably said some pretty choice words that I can't repeat. But for the most part, we all agree that the design is just kind of average. And yeah, that's where I sit too. It's not the worst looking Brainiac that we've ever seen. I have a design of Brainiac that I can't stand that I'm going to share with you guys, and it might, like, you know, make your eyebrows raise because it's not Rocksteady's version of Brainiac. I do not like, you ready for this? I don't like the Bruce Timm version of Brainiac. I'm sorry, I just don't. The Bruce Timm version of Brainiac, I don't know what the man was thinking, but it didn't work for me. And the design always looked kind of like this clunky 1950s robot design, which would have worked in the setting for Batman the Animated Series, because that was like a very dark deco, gothic, 1940s, 50-esque world. Whereas Superman the Animated Series was very futuresque. It was, you know, very like kind of like 90s, but into the future. Like the armor of the police officers, the way the buildings looked, the technology that Superman fought against, all of it was very futuresque. I'm going to be coining that phrase because that sounds cool. Futuresque. Brainiac did not belong in that world. He didn't work. He was very stiff and rigid, and he had this blue Smurf face with these yellow eyes. And maybe I have trauma with this character because he did appear in Superman 64 and Superman Apocalypse. I hate both of those games with a passion, and maybe they caused some type of game-related trauma, but I don't like the design. Now, the character I like, that's where I'm kind of upset, because like the Bruce Timm character was great. The voice acting was amazing. There were high stakes involved whenever Brainiac was on the scene, and the story was always interesting. As well as Brainiac was a character that always kept coming back because he could move his consciousness throughout time and space. He could make clones of himself. He could send his mind into a computer. He even possessed a human being. Brainiac possessed Lex Luthor. And that was a very cool storyline. So I like aspects of Bruce Timm's Brainiac, but I do not like the design. And I cannot stand the original Brainiac design from the Silver Age. And he just looked like a regular human with like green face paint. You know, it was hard for me to be like, this is an alien. He also had that weird, like, head jewelry. But, I mean, that was his first appearance. And since then, Brainiac has evolved a lot in video games. Outside of Justice League Heroes, which I looked at recently. It was just kind of like a robot with a green face. But Rocksteady's version of Brainiac, it just doesn't do it for me because it doesn't have that seal of excellence. Brainiac's character design and the Suicide Squad character design in general, and I hate to say that, but if you compare this to the Arkham Seal of Excellence going all the way back to 2009, all the way through 2015, these character models look nothing like what we had in Arkham Knight. In fact, if you were to tell me that Harley Quinn is the same Harley Quinn that we had in Arkham Knight, I would not believe you just based on the way the characters appear. Because this Harley Quinn, which is 5 years later, it looks like she got married, she had multiple kids, her hips blew out, her bust shrunk, and she looks nothing like the Harley Quinn from 2015. And Harley Quinn in the Arkham universe has been in jail for many, many years. So it's not possible for her to change her body shape that much. You know? Unfortunately, this is the result of the 2020 curse. In this day and age, people in Hollywood and game journalists and some game developers are terrified of beautiful and attractive people. And that's a shame. But they're trying to force their ideology on us as gamers. They're trying to tell us that we need to be okay with the fact that you're no longer allowed to have attractive people in your game anymore. And I don't like when they do that kind of stuff because specifically for like M-rated games, those fantasy games, I believe that they should give the paying customer whatever they want. Because, no offense, M-rated games have always kind of catered to a certain type of audience. And that audience are repeat customers. They buy things over and over again. Look at the Grand Theft Auto people. They expect certain things in their games and they get it. A lot of these Western studios tend to listen to these Arnita Sarkeesian, clones and companies and consultant agencies, and they bow down to these type of mandates where they basically uglify characters. What's funny is, with this whole Elseworlds thing, what they could have done to avoid a lot of the controversy is just make the game Elseworlds related, because you're going to have these characters go through so many different aspects of the multiverse, so it doesn't really make sense that they would kind of mandate that this is the Arkham universe when, I mean, even Deadshot doesn't look like he comes from the Arkham universe. Like, he's a completely different character. He's Will Smith, probably from another multiverse. In fact, I would not be shocked if in the story he just comes out and says, hey, the other Deadshot wasn't a fake. I'm actually the real Deadshot, but I'm from another universe, and the only other people who knew about that was Amanda Waller and, like, some other character that you're going to meet in the game. Maybe Lex Luthor. But that's a story for another day. I don't really like talking too much about the whole Deadshot thing. But yeah, the Brainiac design, it doesn't really look like it belongs in the Arkham universe. None of the character designs, but, it is what it is. I think the design could have been better. Personally, I think that the best design that we ever had for Brainiac was Injustice 2. That was a guy who looked like he could take over the multiverse. Like, literally, that was a dude that Superman, who was evil, had to put aside his differences in his long, many-year war against Batman, team up with him, reforge the Justice League, and take Brainiac down, because that guy was a huge threat. And that dude, I could see him being the guy responsible for taking down the multiverse, not Rocksteady's version. It feels like they make like these really weak-looking characters, but make them OP to try to prove a point that I guess you can be terminally ill and still be like this super-powered being that is a, huge threat. But I don't know. I just don't really see it. But anyway, now I want to hear from all of you guys and gals. How do you feel about the Brainiac design? Do you think that it's good? Do you think that it's decent? Or do you think that it's bad? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to hear from you whether you like it or not. And, yeah, your opinion is always appreciated, and I do reply to most comments that I receive. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. I will be covering the Suicide Squad when it releases later this month. It will probably be uploads because I received a copyright strike a while back for my coverage of the Gotham Knights TV show, and I've never been allowed to live stream ever again. So my channel's been in this weird limbo thing. It's very upsetting because it impacts my revenue. And since I'm blacklisted at WB, I can't really get them to work with YouTube to get my channel reinstated. And YouTube has no idea what's going on because, well, it's YouTube. But I can't live stream. So it sucks. But it is what it is. And I'm not going to bring over the Suicide Squad over to my Let's Play channel because I think that would be bad. Even though I know that the game is going to be wicked tame outside of, like, just, you know, shock value swear words. Like, the character banter is going to be very PG because Puritans would have a, like, freaking heart attack if we had Arkham dialogue from, like, Arkham City or Arkham Knight appear in the Suicide Squad. You would have people, like, having meltdowns all over Twitter because they would be like, that's not how villains are. It's like they talk about murder and all kinds of really horrible crimes because they're bad guys. Shock. But, you know, people would find some way of complaining about that. So even though I know that stuff is not in the game and you just, like, kind of fight like mindless robots, I don't want to risk having that game on my channel. So I'm putting my foot down and I'm just going to be doing uploads. So you can look forward to multiple uploads of the game starting January 29th. And, you know, all that fun stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will be doing more breakdowns of story. There will be spoilers. There'll be ending discussions. All of that stuff in February, so look forward to that. And I also have a video in the pipeline talking about Sefton and Jamie's new company and what the future holds for essentially the new Rocksteady. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you next time with more news and information on the world of Batman in TV, video games, movies, and comics when they don't suck. Later.